Is it water with the sheep in the box?
Hello everyone, just a bit of a brief one today. I was originally going to be making a video about how capitalism ruined weddings, and I might still make that video at some point because I think it's true, and it's one of the places that consumerism is perhaps the most stark, obvious and damaging, but Solari recently made a very similar video, and also as someone who's never been married, I don't know if it's something I'm really best placed to talk about. I don't know, I'll work on it some more and see if it's a more viable video at some point in future. Anyway, in starting to research that video, I came across this absolute monstrosity of an article funded by the De Beers Mining Corporation, which, if you're unaware, is literally the biggest diamond mining operation in the world, claiming that actually the reason people like so-called natural diamonds is due to some kind of inbuilt emotional connection to shiny rocks pulled out of the earth by impoverished African child slave labour, and it pissed me off enough that I had to make a video about this specific point, even if the video it was originally going to be a part of might not be made anytime soon. There's two main points I want to briefly cover here. First, the history of diamond jewellery and engagement rings in specific, and second, the difference between natural and synthetic diamonds with a personal anecdotal twist. Until the 1930s, diamonds were a fairly worthless commodity. They weren't and still aren't particularly rare. In fact, in most diamond mines, especially at the time, they were literally littering the floor and walls, had a few uses within specific industrial contexts, and whilst they did look pretty, the ubiquity of diamond and jewellery, especially diamond engagement rings, the 2-month salary bullshit and so on, wasn't really a thing until De Beers, the very same mining corporation that today is paying mainstream news outlets to peddle lies and marketing bullshit to an unsuspecting public, decided to try to change the way romance worked forever. By buying up and consolidating all the South African diamond mines and controlling the flow of the gems, they created a false scarcity throughout the early 1900s, and as the sole controller of 90% of the world's diamond mines, they had little difficulty doing so and introduced the famous, or perhaps infamous, slogan, "A diamond is forever." As part of this marketing strategy, De Beers spent the equivalent of billions in today's money, relentlessly pushing the idea of diamonds being some kind of emotional, grand gesture. The symbolism behind diamond jewellery was a lasting and deep commitment and love. Likewise, they pushed the romance of the surprise proposal, preying on men's tendency to want to impress women because market research had shown that when women were involved in the selection process, they picked cheaper rings, and so by encouraging surprise proposals, De Beers shifted the purchasing power to men, the less cautious spenders. I mean, they even told men how much of their salary to spend on their product, for fuck's sake. And finally, of course, they also utilized good old influencer culture, paying Hollywood actors, producers, and executives to talk about and mention diamonds in their movies, gave free diamonds to famous socialites and celebrities, and paid the print media to cover the jewellery these people were wearing. This marketing campaign is widely considered to be the most successful of all time, and for good reason. It turned diamonds from common, relatively useless, if pretty, lumps of rock into highly sought after commodities, and as a way to show how much you love and care about your partner. It was pretty groundbreaking at the time because it went beyond simply showcasing the product and in fact went on to associate the product with an emotion, a strategy unheard of at the time, and as a result was wildly successful. Alright, so now we understand that diamonds in general are a bullshit marketing scam built on false scarcity and preying on insecure young lovers in order to squeeze 2 months' salary out of them. But what if there was some other way to get diamond? What if we could somehow bypass the mining companies and eliminate the false scarcity they push? What if there was some way to make diamonds without even having to use child slaves to dig them out of the ground? And here comes the part where we talk about synthetic diamonds. Synthetic diamonds represent something of a serious threat to diamond mines and jewelers because rather than unsuccessfully trying to convince people that diamonds are a scam, as leftists have been trying to do for decades, they actually provide a meaningful alternative. Think of them like Beyond Meat or lab-grown meat or something. It's much easier to convince people to start using a viable alternative option rather than just going cold turkey, rejecting a lifetime of conditioning and so on. I'm not a vegan, but I'll happily try some lab-grown meat, and if it were readily available, I'd find it much easier to transition to that kind of lifestyle rather than just going vegan right off the bat, and also I don't like beans, which means that I'm basically fucked as far as a vegan diet goes. Likewise, it's easier to convince people to get a cheaper, better, more ethically produced diamond ring rather than trying to convince them that the diamond industry is unethical, which is why of course this fluff piece exists in the first place, as De Beers attempts to convince people that lab-grown diamonds are in some way inferior or less emotionally impactful than so-called natural diamonds. Now, this whole discussion is very interesting to me because I actually used to work in customer service for a jewelry insurance company, though I got laid off during the lockdowns in 2020, and during my time there I learned a lot about the manufactured value of jewelry, and also that, unsurprisingly, 99% of people who own a Rolex are insufferable wankers. In particular, this article reminded me of a very real interaction I had wherein I, genuinely not knowing the difference between real and synthetic diamonds, asked purely innocently what that difference was. It suddenly got very awkward because, as it turns out, literally the only difference is marketing. Well, actually that's not technically true. If you have industrial jewelers tools, you can tell the difference, though without them it's basically impossible to do so, and the best answer my boss was able to give at the time was, if you put it under an industrial diamond grading machine, the light turns a different colour. Thing is though, to 99% of people, synthetic diamonds are actually pretty objectively superior. They have no impurities or flaws, which usually would be created over millions of years over the diamond's creation, and are not discoloured in any way, so they're actually kind of better than so-called real diamonds. They try to tell me, just as De Beers are trying to tell you, that actually it's the impurities that people like, because the synthetic diamonds were too perfect and in some way sterile or something. The problem with that line of thinking, however, is that one of the many factors that affects the value of a real diamond is its purity, and the closer to flawless a diamond gets, the more money it's worth. Here's a handy chart similar to the one I was given during my training for that job. As you can see, the best, most expensive natural diamond is a pure, clear white gem, which literally all synthetic diamonds are, because having not grown in the ground, there is no way they can have those impurities. So in desperation, people in the diamond and jewelry industry are reduced to arguing that people like impure natural diamonds, which is why they should keep buying them, but also that the fewer impurities a diamond has, the better and more expensive it is, which is clearly just ridiculous. But why the pushback? Why didn't the diamond companies just start making and selling synthetic diamonds instead? It seems like a simpler and safer process anyway, right? Synthetic diamonds are much cheaper than natural diamonds, and there's no way to really manufacture their scarcity, so there's significantly less money in doing that, as it turns out. Diamonds are a fucking scam. If you must buy them, get synthetics, but ideally boycott the diamond industry in general. This has been jewelry advice from Sheep in the Box, I guess.